people always give one side and never give the other side. They talk about the poor immigrant who comes here for a better life. They talk about the poor immigrant child who must be educated in our schools. They talk about the immigrant worker who works harder than the black person works, and he will take the job that nobody else takes. What you never hear is the other side of the story. You never hear that every time that illegal alien comes here, he displaces somebody else. That side is never mentioned. Whenever this subject comes up, you have organizations who step forth and advocate for the illegal alien. You have MALDEF, MECHA, LULAC, La Raza, and other race-based organizations who are exclusive only to one race of people and advocate for those people only. You never hear the other side of the story. The other side of that story is that somebody is harmed by them being here. I speak of my community because it's where I live. You will never hear from these people about the 17-year-old black kid in my neighborhood who went to McDonald's and was told, you can't work here because you don't speak Spanish. I don't say that happens all the time. I'm telling you of one instance of many that does happen. He was told that he couldn't work there because in the kitchen there would be confusion because most of the workers there were Hispanic and only spoke Spanish in the kitchen, and his English, his native language, would confuse issues, so he couldn't have a job at McDonald's. They don't tell you about the 8-year-old little black girl in my community who sits in a classroom all day long and goes home and tells her father, Daddy, I'm not learning anything in school. So being a good father, he goes down to the school and asks the teacher why. And the little girl looks at him and looks at the teacher at the same time and says, because all they do is speak Spanish in my classroom all day. Now, there are advocates who will tell you, well, that's good, she's learning Spanish. She is not learning Spanish. She is listening to Spanish. There are translations all day long in that classroom for the immigrant child, for the illegal alien child, so that he can learn in his native language, and they don't care what happens to the little black girl. So he asked the teacher, can we get my child an all-English classroom? She says, let's ask the principal. The principal says, sure, and hands them a paper. He fills out the paper. The paper's for busing. He says, wait a minute, this is my neighborhood school. Why can't my daughter go to the same school that I went to in this neighborhood? He says, we have no English-only classrooms in this school. Now his child has to be bused 20 miles in order to learn in English and get a 6-hour education instead of a 3-hour education. They will never tell you that. I'm sure that has never been mentioned in this room. What else has not been mentioned in this room is the $100,000 house on my street that sold for $137,000. Many black people came and looked at that house, but they were not allowed to buy it. I'm going to tell you why. It was a $100,000 house that was sold for $37,000 more than it was worth because 5 families went on that deed to qualify it financially. Now, you're telling me now that if my son wants to buy a house, he has to go and find 4 additional families to live there so that he can pay this inflated cost. You always hear about the real estate market in California, how it's booming, how it's great. The reason it's great is because illegal aliens are buying every single house in that city. I have had 9 houses in the last 5 years on my street, and not one of those houses has gone to black people. 9 of them for sale. And there have been many blacks who have came and looked at these houses, but they can't buy them. Somehow, they don't qualify. I sense racism here. See, racism isn't just from white folks to black folks. It's from anybody to anybody. And that's what I see happening here. This is out and out racism. It is a definite problem. And it's not just the entry-level jobs, it's not just the housing, not just the schooling. Our skilled black workers in Los Angeles cannot find jobs. I'm talking bricklayers, I'm talking concrete, I'm talking roofers, I'm talking framers, I'm talking body and fender men who were making $20 an hour in the 70s, and now they can't get a job in South Central unless they're willing to make $7 or $8 an hour. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the problem is not being addressed by our elected officials. We have gone to them, we have begged them, please help us, and a deaf ear is turned. It has been my experience, my personal experience, that when black elected officials talk, they speak in terms of minorities and people of color. When the advocates of the illegal alien speaks, he speaks about Latinos. We are always left out of the equation. We are never included in the equation. We have laws on the books to address these problems, but nobody has the resolve to step forward and use these laws.